Hear your message this day. We pray in your Son's name. Amen. It can be very easy within our tradition to conflate all the stories of Christmas into one larger narrative. We even do it some on Christmas Eve, so know that I'm as guilty as any others on doing this. We discern multiple angel visits to Zechariah and Mary from Luke's Gospel and to Joseph in Matthew's Gospel. We have Mary accepting the word given to her, and then Joseph in a dream being led to accept the same thing, except those are from two different Christmas stories. We have the journey to Bethlehem from Nazareth, the shepherds, the angels, the manger, and then into this same story we imagine come the Magi, just like in our own nativity scene over here. We conflate these stories together, and there are good reasons to do so. It gives a wider breadth to the story, and it feels good to wrap up all of Christmas Eve with the poetry of John 1, which is John's version of the Christmas story. But there are also important reasons to, from time to time, separate out the two Christmas stories, or three in the case of John, and give them their own space to speak, to see the messages they hold just by themselves. Luke, for instance, is very much about good news to the poor. From the Song of Zechariah to Mary's Magnificat, to the good news being preached first to shepherds in the field, who would have been the lowest of lowest class, landless night shift workers, Luke's version is all about how the poor are the people who Jesus comes and lives among at the beginning of his life. Matthew's has different themes. Matthew's gospel story of Christmas involves a journey, but not of the Holy Family. In Matthew's gospel, Jesus begins in Bethlehem, And the traveling is done at first by the Magi, who come from a distant country following the light. Where is he who is born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east and have come to pay him homage. In its own way, that line about the Magi traveling is just as breathtaking and powerful as anything in Luke or John. For it tells the whole story of Matthew's gospel right there. A child who is born to be the Messiah, a message so big the whole world needs to hear. And a star, a light, pointing the way. For me, that last image has always been an important and powerful one, of a star pointing the way. It's one that speaks to me on a deeper level. For one, I assume that everyone in this room has been outside at night. I know the difference it's made when there's cloud cover covering up the stars and the moon and when there is not. How much brighter the night seems when those stars shine down. And so I can imagine a star, much like the one on our candle, which I didn't know was going to be there, but is a really great thing to have on this sermon. I can imagine a star as a guiding light in just such a way for a group of folk from the east seeking after Jesus, whom we would later call the light of the world. This morning, I want to take that image of a star and move it one step further by asking a simple question. What if a part of the call of this story for us is for us to become the new Christmas star to a world that still needs the light that Christ brings? What if a part of who we were made to be, created to be by our God, is to be lights that shine in just such a way as to draw people to the one born in a manger? To shower the world with light in all of its dark places, just like the real stars do in our night sky. I mean, in Matthew 5, later in this same gospel, Jesus says to his disciples and followers, and therefore to us, that you are the lights of the world, so I'm hardly making a large stretch here in this analogy. What does that look like? What does it look like to be a light in just such a way? Well, the answer is there are lots of things it looks like, and more than I could possibly list in a sermon. So I'm going to give you two themes that come to my mind, and know that there are other themes out there. One, for me it means to be a people who love generously and include deeply. That is, to remember that all of humanity is a beloved child of God, and strive as we live our lives, as we make choices and make decisions, to keep that in mind in our decision making. So, everybody here in this room is a beloved child of God. That's your morning reminder in case you need it. You, all of us, are beloved children of God. Amen. But so are those worshiping other places around Batesville this morning. Or those who would love to be in worship but had to work the night shift or working the Sunday morning shift and therefore can't be in worship. They too are beloved children of God. Frankly, so too are those who are choosing to sleep in, who would never think of attending church. They may not be Christians, or they might think they are, but they are definitely beloved children of God. Also beloved children of God, members of other faith communities who are Jewish or Muslim or Sikh or Hindu or any other tradition. Those who have their green cards and have followed in the path of this congregation's ancestors by immigrating to this country are beloved children of God. But also too are those who skirted the rules of this country by either crossing the border illegally or overstaying their visas. They too are children of God. Those who are LGBT or homeless or who have mental illness of some kind or have life-threatening diseases are all children of God. Those who live in Israel and Iraq and Iran or the Middle East and other places are all children of God. If we are to be lights, Christmas stars who draw people to Jesus Christ, we would do well to begin by remembering that all we meet and all we'll never meet are children of God, and to live in ways that reflect that reality. Love generously and welcome deeply. The second theme that comes to my mind as I think about what it looks like to live like this is to strive each and every day to bring about God's kingdom of justice and righteousness and shalom. Or, put another way, to always ask what is fair, what is right, and what will lead to more peace in the world. Now, much of this is God's work. It's God's kingdom after all. We are just people who have parts to play, but we do have parts to play in that kingdom. So how can we be fair? How we treat the person waiting on us as we go to dinner, or giving us a coffee in the morning at Dunkin' Donuts in a few months that opens up? How can we be just in our use of our resources and wealth, both in what we expect of the companies that earn our dollars, what we expect of ourselves? How can we strive for righteousness in our own lives through choices, listening to the Spirit to make decisions that are pleasing to God and give glory to God? So, for instance, being gracious and quick to forgive in our relationships, even with folks we don't like. How can we be peacemakers? Outside of the fast tomorrow at the UCC. Could we invite our federal leaders? Could we strive to minimize our own conflicts by not picking or escalating fights with others, even on social media? Friends, that could be hard. I love me the Facebook debate/fight. It's a terrible habit. I should never do it. I do it less and less as I get older and wiser. But I love it. It's fun. But I shouldn't. You know? How can we not do that? How could I not do that? But instead be peacemakers? Could we not over-glorify violent solutions to problems, but instead imagine ways diplomacy might be used, both on a global scale and in our own day-to-day lives? How might we be stars of light, shining the ways of God's justice and righteousness and shalom? Those are good questions. And how else might we be beacons of light in the world? Because the truth is, I've only just hit a few themes. I've only touched a few topics. There are so many others. Being generous, being slow to anger, being present with those in need, and so many more. I imagine you have your ideas about this question. Your senses of call, what God might be calling you to as you shine as a light into the world. And your answers are no better or worse than mine, and probably your answers fit you better than my answers fit you, because, you're you and you're not. But none of the answers we have are likely to be easy. Because if it was easy to be a light, it was easy to be the people God calls us to be, well, there wouldn't be a need for us to be those lights. It wouldn't be a world so desperately in need of the gifts we can give. So as you go into the world and strive to be a light, strive to be just like the Christmas star, and please go do that. Let me offer you two sources of strength to strengthen you when it is hard to do. First is this table. In just a few minutes, we will come again, as we so often have, to this table, to break bread and share cup, to be nourished by the presence of our Savior, to be fed by the meal that He gave us. And this morning, as you do that, eat this meal, take on its strength and power, and use it to empower those things that God is calling you to do outside of these walls. Use it as a springboard, reflecting back the light that we see in the light of the world whom we meet at this table. And second, please take a star on your way out of worship. Take a star, read the Word, reflect upon the Word. Go read the Scriptures, see what they have to say to you. Look at that Word and ponder it. Wonder how God might be using it to speak to you this day, to speak to you for this year. Ponder how God might be using that word that you draw to empower you to be a star yourself, to be a light shining in our world in the year to come. Because, friends, it's an election year. It's not going to be an easy year. We're going to need all the lights you have to give, all the gifts that God has given you to share in the world. We need them in this year to come. It's going to be hard at times. And we need the gifts of the church to shine in this world. And we are called to be those lights. We are called to be those stars. We are the light beams of God shining down to a world that needs the light that we can bring. The light that we have first seen in Jesus Christ. So again, what will that look like in your life? I don't know. Only you and the Holy Spirit can discern that for sure. But whatever it looks like, go and do it. Whatever it looks like, go and shine. Shine as lights of the world, my friends. Shine.